Recently, I spent a whole week in Albania doing hut-to-hut hiking, and I took my Fuji X100VI with me. Now, I needed to know that I could use a film simulation that would really pull through, and so there was only one choice for it. This is a review of Reggie's Portra. Started day one early because it was our biggest hike, and I knew straight away as I snapped some pictures of the sunrise and the morning light that I was going to be enjoying this film simulation a lot. This scene right here was one of my favourites, with the house in the foreground and the mountains in the background, and we managed to get some pictures of each other at the same time. You can see here, because the light was so bright in the morning, I had some trouble with dynamic range, so I underexposed some of the shots to get the right highlights. One thing that I really like about this film simulation is it's not too warm. Some of the blues in the sky here looked really true to life, and I appreciate that a lot. One thing that I do also like about this film simulation is the green tones. I do wish that they were just a little bit lusher and a little bit less harsh and yellowy, but I have to say, compared to most of the film simulations I've tried, this one is pretty pleasing when it comes to that. You can see here how it handled the latitude in the highlights. I found that to be really impressive, and it gave a true to life, dreamy, ethereal feel when we're at the top of the mountain. On this specific shot here, the greens look really pleasing to me, so I liked that a lot. As we were coming down the mountain, the light was a little bit softer, and I think this film simulation really shined in that respect. Some of these shots were some of my favourite from the trip. Day 2, we had another sizable hike as we made our way from Valbona to Theth. The sun was behind a slight cloud, so with that softer light again, it really gave a chance for the film simulation to shine, and I loved some of these shots. had to choose just one shot from the trip to sum up my entire experience, it would be this one here. The location and the light was breathtaking, and the film simulation really highlighted those amazing highlights behind me on the mountains, as well as the luscious foliage, and I think it was really coming into its own. On the way up to the mountain pass, things began to get a little bit stormy, which meant that the landscapes were now slightly more dramatic, and I really enjoyed some of these photos. After a long day of hiking, we got to our accommodation and we went for a little bit of a walk around the village, and I managed to grab some photos of kind of everyday Albanian life. I really enjoyed some of these images, and some of the houses were really stunning. I'd seen pictures of this church all over Instagram before I came, and I was really looking forward to getting some of my own. It didn't disappoint. It was a lovely building, a little bit less remote than I thought it might be, as it was right in the town centre, but I enjoyed snapping some pictures all the same. Day 3 was a complete downpour, but we set out to do a hike anyway. See the church in the distance.
Can we go on the bridge or not? Yeah, I don't know actually.
This is a really good example of how when it's a little bit gloomier, there's not so much direct light, those green tones really came out to play, and I enjoyed these photos a lot. It was like I was in some kind of luscious Star Wars rainforest, and I really like these.
Maybe you can cross down here actually.
That low-hanging cloud gave me some really good contrast across the frame in some of these images, and skin tones were pretty good as well.
Pretty busy with people, but it is beautiful.
This simulation also did a really good job at capturing those bluey greens behind us in the mountain water, and it was freezing cold, but worth it for a little plunge. After we made it back, we went out for a little walk for dinner and I managed to capture some pictures as the sun was going down. You'll see how well it managed to handle this situation, even with a little bit of harsh lighting. And these pictures, I think, do a really good job of being true to life, but also very cinematic. On day 4, we're actually doing the same hike as day 2, but in reverse. So hopefully I'd get to see a few of the same viewpoints, but from different angles. So I'm not sure what happened with these batch of images. They look very different from all the previous ones to me. Maybe I underexposed them by accident a little bit too much, but overall they're just a little bit too warm for my liking and a little bit too contrasty. You'll see this goes away later in the day, whether that was just the light or whether I corrected my settings, I'm not sure, but something worth noting. You can see how the underlying warmth is really nicely managed in the simulation, and the blues really come through in the sky, which I was very happy about. These aren't just some of my favourite images from the trip, but maybe some of the favourites that I've ever taken. I'll look back on these with a real fondness. I think the colours is really nicely managed, and overall it's just a super nice aesthetic that really fit the mountain scenery. As we got back to the end of the hike, we went along a dried up riverbed, which we'd only seen in the dark previously, and it was a really nice experience just to wander along and take some shots. I think the contrasting colours here of the rocky riverbed along with the green foliage is really nice, and the film simulation does a great job of handling those. Some of the last images that I took on this trip were just from an evening walk around Valbona before we got dinner, and it was just really nice to have this load up into the camera, and everything that came out of it I was really pleased with. It's easy to see why so many people are enamored with this film simulation. It's great for everyday purposes, portraits, landscape shots, and everything in between. I really enjoyed using it, and I highly recommend this if you're looking for something to plug into your camera for everyday use. This is the last video that I'm making for my trip to Albania. I really hope you've enjoyed watching them as much as I've enjoyed making them. If you like videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. I have new ones coming out every single week, so I'll see you in the next one.